What's going on, everybody? What is happening? What's shaking? What's doing? It is Wednesday, August the 6th, 2025, 7:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Dave McCrae, coming to you live from the Voiceman Studios in Toronto, Canada. And this is episode 350 of MCRAE Live. And tonight, I'm going to give you my premise for my Halloween 4 Part 2. This is my pitch. This is my pitch to the Akkads. This is my pitch to Malik. This is my pitch to Danielle Harris. This is my pitch to Ellie Cornell. This is it. This is it. And we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to do more than talk about it. I'm going to give well, not everything, obviously. It's not like I've written the script, but I've written quite a bit in a sort of treatment form, which I will be reading from the screen and interjecting nuance where I see necessary. And hopefully you guys will like the direction. Hopefully you guys will like it and where I take it. The name is called Halloween Season's End. Halloween Season's End. Is this a feature film? Is this a 30-minute short film? Is this a vignette like Sweet Revenge? We're going to talk about it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well. We are in the middle of the summer now. Fall and autumn is just around the corner. Are you excited about it? Are you prepared for Halloween this year? Have you picked out your Halloween costume? Would you like to see a Halloween 4 Part 2? You know you would. Is it ever going to happen? No. At least not theatrically. Not in a major motion picture released around the world. However, I think there might be a door that may be an area where it could happen. And I'm going to tell you how and maybe why. Or not, no, I'll tell you how, why I think that might be the case. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. We're going to talk about it tonight as well. And it should be good. Should be good. JJ McCrae Live. It's another guy. He's another guy. I'm excited for fall, says Chester Franklin Jr. I'm glad. Okay, 74 people in here right now. I hope you're all doing well, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 350 of MCRAE Live. Ow! Yes, the timing is right. The timing is right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 350 of MCRAE Live. Today it is, Matthew Freese says, I would rather they move on, but that doesn't mean I'm not intrigued. Oh, me too. Look, let me first say this, ladies and gentlemen. There is never going to be a Halloween 4 Part 2. At least not in the ways that you probably knee-jerk reaction think. Like that's just what they're doing. You know what? The next thing we're going to do is not a TV show. No. You know what? We're going to dip back into the the well of the fucked up timelines, and we're going to pull this out. Halloween 4 Part 2. All right, we're going to give it a $25 million budget. We're going to get Danielle Harris back and Ellie Cornell back, and that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that there isn't an avenue where it could happen. But what I mean where it's not going to happen is a situation like a major motion picture, right? A major, like Halloween Kills, Halloween 18, Halloween Ends. It's not going to happen because you can't market a movie like that to the general movie-going audience. It's very, look, Halloween 18, the David Gordon Green trilogy made $500 million at the worldwide box office, not because of because of Halloween fans. A very small fraction of that are diehard Halloween fans. We are I know our world seems massive, and Halloween seems massive because we live it, we shit it, we breathe it, we taste it, we smell it. We don't taste the shit though. Although sometimes we do, Halloween Resurrection, but we live with it every day. So our world, it's like, oh, everybody's got it's that spotlight, syndrome, right? Where everybody's thinking about what I'm thinking about. Now half the world doesn't give a fuck about what you were thinking about or what you're doing. And so most people that go to see movies is the general movie-going audience. And this would be a very difficult film to, market. I mean, look, they already had a bit of a tricky time with Halloween 18 because I remember, as you do too, I remember seeing posts from the general movie-going audience with things like, didn't Jamie Lee Curtis die in the last one? I thought she was dead. Didn't Michael die? It's just like you can't, you know what I'm saying? And so it's very difficult. They're not going to go back now and do a Halloween 4 Part 2 and spend millions of dollars on doing that. That's not what they're going to do. But that doesn't mean there isn't an avenue and an area where it could exist. It could exist. And we're going to talk about that. So, welcome to episode 350 of MCRAE Live, ladies and gentlemen. This is my pitch. This is my pitch to Malik Akkad. This is my pitch to the Akkads. This is my pitch to Trankus. This is my pitch to Danielle Harris. This is my pitch to Ellie Cornell. Ellie Cornell, is long retired, I believe, and I think she runs a bed and breakfast now, if I'm not mistaken, or she used to. I don't know if she still does, but nonetheless, Danielle is still much involved in the horror scene, doing a lot of sort of, independent B-movie horrors as of late. So, she might be intrigued by this. She might be intrigued. So this is where I think it could happen, and what I'm going to pitch to you, okay? The Sweet Revenge vignette got me thinking. And although Friday the 13th fans want a Friday the 13th movie, and gosh darn it, you should have one. You should have one. But, we Halloween fans, we just had 3 movies. Okay, I know there's fans out there that would just eat it up if they announce another movie. And for me, again, as you guys know, I couldn't care less whether they made another Halloween movie ever again, ever. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be first in line if they do. Of course, I'm a Halloween fan, but all that means is that I am content. I'm full. It's like having an amazing dinner with an amazing dessert, and you're full. You're full. I'm good. I'm comfortable. I'm good. I've had some cake. I've had, all that kind of stuff. With the Halloween series, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm good. I don't need to reboot it now. I mean, maybe in 10 or 15 years when, there's actually a generational turnover. I remember there was somebody in the chat a couple of shows ago that said something about how, they'll probably revamp it or remake it in, a few years in 2028 for a new generation. And I understand the principle of what this individual was saying, and you could be right that there could be something coming for the 50th anniversary, but the new generation, that's only 3 years from now. It's still the same generation. Look, in order for a remake to be for a new generation, it's got to be like 20 years have got it, a generation has had to have gone by. So, you have to wait at least 20, 25 years, and then there really is a new audience. You can't end a series and then remake it 5 years later and say, it's for a new generation. It's just the same people. It's the same people. And so that's why I don't want them to do that. But wait a while. Anyways, I digress. So, but the Sweet Revenge vignette had me thinking, and I'm thinking, maybe there's something here. Maybe this vignette thing for Halloween, especially because Halloween's had its run, right? And it's like, well, maybe this is something they could do. Maybe they do team up with Spirit Halloween, or maybe they team up with, something Halloween related, or I don't know, maybe an adult beverage, or maybe they don't. Maybe they just put in a few $1 million and they make a vignette, right? It's like one episode of like a streaming series, right? Like an anthology thing. If you're not going to do the anthology TV series where every episode is a different thing, which I still think they should explore, but if you're not going to do that, then maybe you do something like this, where instead of it being 13 minutes, like the Sweet Revenge, and we don't know if the Sweet Revenge is going to work. We don't know if it's going to be any good or not. We'll find out in what? T-minus 4, 5, 6, 7 days. T-minus 7 days. We'll find out in T-minus 7 days. But the principle of it, so maybe it's not 13 minutes long. Maybe it's like, maybe it's, like 45 minutes long or 60 minutes long. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's like a short film. And they could release it via the Halloween portal or HalloweenMovies.com or the official Halloween YouTube channel or whatever they, want to do with it. Anyways, so, there's maybe that's what you do with this. And if it's, and you released at Halloween time, and if it's successful, if people really like it, maybe you tap into it and you do other things like that. So instead of having like a series, you're doing it individually and releasing them individually, maybe every Halloween or something like that. It's something to look forward to. Like it's a what if scenario, kind of thing. Like some of the stuff that Tony Michael and I used to talk about on the Two Dude Show. So that's, it's something to think about. It's something to think about. I think that's an avenue that maybe could be discussed, is there something there? Obviously, as I've mentioned many times, I think the anthology TV series is interesting, and you could plop that right into the anthology TV series where you're doing a bunch of individual stories, the Charlie Bowles story, the Halloween 4 Part 2 story, the this story, that story, you know what I mean? But if you're not going to do that, maybe a one-off Halloween 4 Part 2, 45, 50 minutes long, whatever it is, short film kind of thing, vignette. Maybe it's a little long for a vignette. Now that I think about it. But, the principle of that kind of thing, right? Maybe there's something there. And it works better for Halloween because we just had our Michael Myers movies. You know what I mean? I mean, we've had Michael he's been in the theaters, whereas Jason and Freddy haven't. You know what I mean? So it almost feels a little more palatable for Halloween fans if we get little things like this. It's kind of cool. It's like an episode of TV. Anyway. So maybe there's still something here that could work like that, maybe, But you're not going to see Halloween 4 Part 2 as a major motion picture released theatrically around the world. It's not going to happen. But here is my idea. Here is my pitch. I am calling it Halloween Season's End. Halloween Season's End. Now, I wrote this over the weekend, so bear with me. I'm going to just bring this up here, and I want to refer to it as I go through it. So this is the ballpark of my idea here, okay? Here we go. So this is Halloween 4 Part 2 is what this is. This is a pitch that offers a haunting and thematically rich conclusion to the arcs of Rachel Carruthers and Jamie Lloyd, two characters long overdue for meaningful closure, at least with us Halloween fans. Anyway, the movie is set, or the short film, or the vignette, or whatever it would end up being if it ever ended up getting made, set in the year 2028. So it is set 40 years after the events of Halloween 4. This story explores the lifelong scars left by Michael Myers' evil and how unresolved trauma. Yeah, I know. Trauma. Thanks, Jamie Lee Curtis, for taking an actual deep, rich thematic layer for a movie and ruining it by just saying it over and over and over and over and over again until people hate it and it has no meaning. And actually, it's really important, that kind of thing. It's very rich, but thanks to Jamie Lee Curtis, people make fun of it now. But it's important how it fractures and ultimately reconnects two people. What makes this concept, I believe, this idea, stand out is how it reframes the slasher genre through a more mature, reflective lens. Now, it should be no surprise that I am coming at this through the lens of how I like horror movies, right? I understand that Halloween is a what am I doing here? Hang on. Why am I... Okay. I have too many windows open. Why are we doing... What's going on here? Why are you... There we go. So I am coming at this through the lens of the horror that I like, okay? And that doesn't mean there's not going to be blood or kills, or gore. I'm just saying that, I'm putting a little more meat on the bone, right? So Rachel and Jamie, actually, let me go back through here. Okay. So here's the log line, all right? Halloween Season's End. Here's the log line. 40 years after the events of Halloween 4, estranged foster sisters Jamie Lloyd and Rachel Carruthers reunite in seclusion to confront the trauma that has haunted them for decades. When eerie signs of the past resurface, they must face the terrifying possibility that Michael Myers has returned, or that the true evil lies within themselves. Now, this is, I should this should go without saying, that Halloween 5 does not exist. So this is a direct sequel to Halloween 4, hence Halloween 4 Part 2. So Halloween 5 does not exist, obviously, because Rachel is alive. So this is basically Act 1 here, okay? Now, again, these are bullet point notes, and I'm going to try and explain and inject my nuance and all that kind of stuff. Now, keep in mind, this is 40 years later. If Michael Myers were alive, I understand what some people are going to think. Well, he'd be 71. Well, but just pay attention. Listen, remember, this is me doing this. So there's a few different layers here. Okay, here we go. Act 1. It is 2028, exactly 40 years since that fateful Halloween night that changed their lives forever. Jamie Lloyd, now about 47, lives a quiet, or at least in her late 40s, I would assume, because she was 7 at the time, right? Yeah. Lives a quiet and reclusive life in a modest cabin deep in the Colorado woods. After years spent institutionalized for the tragic stabbing of her foster mother at age 7, I should say and death, because in my mind, she died. Now, in Halloween 5, of course, if it existed, we know that she actually survived, but I believe she died. She was killed. Stabbing of her foster mother at age 7. Jamie withdrew from the world entirely. So I imagine that she spent quite a bit of time institutionalized. And then that because she was a minor, I mean, she was only 7, she went through all the programs and this, that, and the other, and she was able to be released probably maybe when she was a teenager or maybe when she hit 18 or something like that. That stuff you can flesh out in details, and things like that. But she spent some time there. She never married or had children of her own. Her life is solitary by choice, a deliberate escape from the fear, the guilt, and the shame that have followed her since childhood. Rachel Carruthers, now in her mid-50s, built a life that appears more, Rachel Carruthers, now in her mid-50s, built a life that appears more conventional on the surface. She's a mother to a teenage daughter and has worked hard to give her child a stable, safe upbringing, something that she never felt she had herself. Well, certainly after those events. That's what I meant by that. Like, thereon after the events. Obviously, before that, I think her childhood was, was relatively normal. So I should change that from childhood to teenage life. But anyway, her teenage daughter has worked hard in her child's upbringing, something she never felt she had herself as a teenager after the events is what I was supposed to put there. But anyways, I think you follow along. But Rachel has always kept Jamie's memory locked away. The trauma buried beneath the rhythm of her daily life. So something to keep in mind here is, obviously, her foster mother is Rachel's mom, right? I mean, how do you reconcile that? Like, what do? You know what I mean? Recently, this is Rachel now. Recently, her daughter came home from school shaken after finding a true crime article online about the girl who killed her grandmother. The article painted Jamie as a haunted child consumed by darkness, raising questions Rachel had long avoided answering. Forced to confront the past, Rachel reads the piece herself and is struck by Jamie's own words, fragments of pain, guilt, and misunderstood grief. Something in Rachel begins to shift. Now keep in mind that Rachel and Jamie have not seen nor spoken to each other in 35 years. So since 1993. Because I believe that when Jamie was first institutionalized, because of all the proceedings that would have had to have gone through and the dealing of the death of her mother and all this kind of stuff, and they were still under legal custody of her, the father and all, I believe I believe Rachel gave it a go and then just, Rachel had to move on. I mean, Jamie was institutionalized, and it was very difficult for her to move past what happened. I believe that would be true. Rachel went away to college. She moved on with her life. And she always knew that she was, there, and then she eventually got out, but they never rekindled until this moment here, obviously, 35 years later. Motivated both by her daughter's questions and her own unresolved guilt, Rachel reaches out to Jamie. The sisters haven't spoken in 3 decades, but Rachel sends an email. So, she figures out how to get in touch, where she is, sends an email, all that kind of stuff. Those are the details that you figure out, right? So it's properly motivated and it makes sense. Reaches out. The sisters haven't spoken in 3 decades. Then maybe you go from email to texting to a Zoom call. You know what I mean? And they slowly begin to kind of speak, very surface level, just kind of speak about things. And slowly the walls between them begin to crack. Eventually, Rachel offers to visit Jamie in person, not just for herself, but for the sake of her daughter, who deserves the full story. She wants to understand Jamie's truth and maybe finally speak her own about that horrible night 40 years ago. When Rachel arrives at the cabin, the reunion is cautious and uneasy. The air is thick with years of silence, misunderstandings, and unspeakable trauma. Unspeakable trauma. But there's also a flicker of something more. Recognition, shared history, and the faintest trace of sisterhood. Do you remember on my video that I uploaded on my channel where I talked about how important that bond was? Am I a sister or no? Do you love me, Rachel, like a sister, like a real sister? We're not really sisters, Jamie. That arc was so important, and it was completely destroyed in Halloween 5. There wasn't an opportunity for them to really become that tight-knit duo and that bond that I think Halloween 4 set up. Well, this is trying to bring that back to that. But of course, I have to roll with the events of the end of Halloween 4 and play it, serious and figure out what, I can't just pretend those events didn't happen, right? So when Rachel arrives at the cabin, like I said, the reunion is uneasy, the air is thick with years of silence and misunderstandings and unspeakable trauma. But there's also a flicker of something more, recognition, shared history, and the faintest trace of sisterhood. Then, strange things begin to happen almost immediately. Footsteps in the woods, a shape in the trees, a mask nailed to a tree trunk maybe, just outside the cabin. Something or someone is stirring. Act 2. As the weekend unfolds, because I imagine she's gone there for the weekend. As the weekend unfolds, the tension tightens. The sisters try to reconnect, reflecting on their shared past and peeling back the layers of hurt. But their efforts are constantly interrupted by signs that they are not alone. A local neighbor who has long complained about Jamie's reclusiveness vanishes. They call the sheriff, who arrives to investigate, but he too disappears after inspecting the property. His cruiser is left running with the door open and the radio hissing white noise. And of course, you could, show some interesting scares and interesting sort of, moments with mood and atmosphere and building that suspense to this inevitable return. Later, a delivery driver sent to drop off supplies messages that he saw someone standing just beyond the trees, still tall, still wearing a pale white mask. And then he too vanishes. Rachel is shaken, but Jamie is eerily composed. She's lived on the edge for most of her life and doesn't dismiss the possibility that Michael could still be out there, or at least real enough to haunt her. She confesses to Rachel that she never truly believed he died. There was always a part of her that felt he was watching, waiting, that somehow he escaped that mine shaft and not the Halloween 5 escape. The sisters began to prepare for the worst. The cabin, with its narrow hallways, creaky wooden floors, an isolated location. And this would be relatively cheap because, Danielle and Ellie would not command a huge salary, and it would just be essentially the two of them. Right? It's a character-driven piece with slasher elements, right? And so it's really about them and their bond and that reconnecting. And for me, and I think for a lot of Halloween fans, I think it would be really cool and really emotional and mean a lot to see those two, and the same actors, by the way, on screen for the first time in 40 years, advanced 40 years, acknowledging the events of the end of Halloween 4. And we see it's awkward. It's awkward. They're not like, hey, buddy. No, it's awkward. And it's totally believable. This young girl who's been Rachel's foster sister for not too long, murders her mother. And Rachel knows it's not like, Rachel knows deep inside and, subconsciously that it wasn't really Jamie that did it. Do you know what I mean? But it's still her mom. And Jamie went away and was institutionalized, and she tried to kind of be there, but then, she had to go on with her life and got married and had a kid and went to college and had a life and all that kind of stuff, right? And so they're estranged. And it's unresolved. And that's totally believable. And quite frankly, also a far more fascinating Halloween 5. If you went that route, you'd have to wait 40 years to do it. But I think if you were to do a Halloween 4 Part 2, I find that fascinating. Now, I know that for some slasher Halloween fans out there, maybe it's not interesting because maybe it's like, nah, Dave's going off and doing his. Hey, but this is me. This is Dave McCrae. This is what I would do because it puts more meat on the bone. And you know me, I'm not going to remove the Halloween DNA. I'm not going to make it something it's not. I'm not going to make it, some sort of cerebral, elitist, pretentious. No, it's still going to be Halloween. It's still going to look like Halloween, smell like Halloween, taste like Halloween, fart like Halloween. I mean, it's still going to be Halloween, but there's going to be more of a dramatic piece to this because there's an opportunity to make it rich. There's an opportunity to give these characters the arc that we never got. There's an opportunity to give these characters that arc that we really want to see, right? You know what I'm saying? Rather than it just being, So anyways, that's why I'm approaching it this way. And like I said, two of them in a cabin in the woods. Maybe there's a bit of snow on the ground, I don't know. It's the fall, October, November. Maybe it's after Halloween. Maybe it's before Halloween. Maybe it's before Halloween. You know what I mean? So there's the Halloween kind of leading up to it. But maybe it's not quite Halloween. Maybe it's like a Halloween 3 thing where you begin it begins October 23rd or something like that, right? And then you end on Halloween or something. But anyway. And maybe that's built into the narrative, like, oh, I don't know if I should come up and see you because it's Halloween. Or maybe it's built into the narrative, like, why don't I come up and see you because it is Halloween? Who knows, right? You figure out those things. Anyways, the sisters begin to prepare for the worst. The cabin, with its narrow hallways, creaky wooden floors, and isolated location, becomes a pressure cooker for suspense. I mean, listen, if somebody offered me this Halloween 4 Part 2, with Rachel Carruthers and Danielle Harris, I would be like, yeah, I'll do this. Because I see so many opportunities to bring my style of horror to it. I would love to see this. Yeah. Isolated, location, it's like Hush, but with Danielle Harris and Ellie Cornell and Michael Myers, it's like, I'm just saying, who doesn't want to see that? Doors open on their own, lights flicker, closet doors creak. Rachel finds herself peering through lightning-lit windows, seeing Michael's shape and then not, there and then gone. He moves like a ghost, like a memory too real to ignore. And then, of course, maybe it's Halloween night. The storm hits on their final night, a thunderstorm. Oh yeah, thunderstorm. Awesome. The thunder shakes the ground. The thunder shakes the ground and the power goes out. Rain lashes the cabin as wind howls through the trees, sending dead leaves skittering and flowing across the floorboards. It's this heightened moment of terror that something deeper breaks open between Rachel and Jamie. Rachel finally says, and again, in the confines of the context, it makes sense. I'm giving you sort of the bullet points of the direction of the acts. So, there's a lot of stuff we could go in here and fine tune and really flesh out it into a script. This is more into kind of like a not a quasi, but sort of a treatment, sort of very kind of light treatment of sort of the bullet points and the direction. But there's a moment during all of this where Rachel finally says the words that Jamie never thought she'd hear, that she's sorry, that she wished she had protected her better, that she doesn't blame her for her foster mother's death. Jamie, of course, tearfully admits how alone she has felt all these years, how she believed no one could ever truly forgive her. This moment is raw and emotional, but believable and grounded in a shared emotional truth. It wasn't Jamie. It was the evil. Forgiveness isn't a sudden fix, but it's a step. It's a step forward in the right direction, a connection reignited. And it may be the one that gives them the strength to survive what's about to happen. Act 3, the shape strikes. Michael Myers returns, emerging fully in the chaos of the storm. The chase is brutal and unrelenting. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Lightning flickers, revealing Michael standing in hallways. Then suddenly he's gone. He haunts them through the cabin, in closets, under beds, he's not under the bed, but they're under the bed. That'd be weird. Well, there is Halloween 4. That would make sense. Through crawl spaces and tight corners, in a haunting dance of silence and sudden violence. Hey, that rhymed. I didn't realize that. That's cool. The sheriff's bloody body is found. So I would approach it very similar in the ways that David Gordon Green approached the kills in Halloween 18. One of the things that I really liked about the kills in Halloween 18, or one of the things that I liked the direction was, and you've heard me say this multiple times, is the reveals of the kills. There's a few kills in Halloween 18 where you actually don't see the kill happening. You just see the end result. And I find them incredibly eerie and creepy, like that cop with his neck all the way back, when I think it's Hawkins goes to investigate the bus, right? It's just eerie and it's creepy. Dave pinned to the wall, that garage guy, with his jaw all the way. You don't see those kills. You just see the end result. And I would probably approach the kills in this, the neighbor, the sheriff, the guy who comes over, delivering supplies, I would probably approach it the same way, where it's just like, wow, because it's just like, holy shit, Maybe there's one kill that I put on camera, like maybe the neighbor or something like that. But I would like to approach it in that, in that sort of way. Let me see here. The shape is not just here to kill, he's here to finish a cycle. Rachel and Jamie work together to set a trap. They light the cabin's lower floor with kerosene. When Michael, now I know what you're thinking, you're going to burn him again. Just shut up and listen, okay? Just shut up and listen. I'm just busting your balls. No, actually, I'm not. I do mean that, but I'm just, busting your balls. When Michael enters, now again, what that trap is, we can talk about it, right? That's fleshing out the details of a script and what that all means and, all that kind of shit, right? And again, if this is like a short film or, a vignette, we don't have a lot of money and a lot of time, so we have to be resourceful. When Michael enters, they spring it. They spring the trap. In a final confrontation, Jamie stabs him relentlessly. Where, we'll figure it out. But this time, without hesitation or confusion. Like, it's just like it's an unrelenting, like she's releasing, right? She's releasing the 40 years of built up anger and anguish and pain and fear and sadness and loneliness. She is just unrelenting. Hang on a sec here. me see if I get this right. Oh, wait a minute. Yes. So then, oh, hang on a sec. Hang on. Okay. So, and then of course, because there's kerosene all over the place, they, hang on a sec. I have to back myself up here. So, they are about to light a match or a lighter or, you know, it's time, Michael, you know, that kind of thing, right? But before they do, a fork lightning, right? What did I say? A piece of lightning? I wanted to say that for some reason. A lightning strike hits the house and lights the fire for them. Ooh, poetic, symbolic, otherworldly, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of, that's kind of interesting. Not Friday the 13th, Jason lives shit. I'm just saying, it's interesting. And then, of course, that lights the basement on fire or wherever they are with the trap and lights Michael on fire as well. Michael steps to the center of the room, reaching out for Jamie and Rachel, who find themselves trapped themselves. They try to escape through an open window. That's where they're trying to escape. And Michael is there. He's on fire. He's reaching. And then all of a sudden, the fire consumes him, takes him over, and he doesn't flinch. This goes back to my idea that I had for an ending to Halloween 18. He just stands there in the center of the room, perfectly still, as the flames consume him. His skin begins to melt and peel, drop by drop, revealing muscle, then bone. His mask fuses with his face, then peels away, dripping. The latex just drips. Everything just begins to melt and drip, and you just see like the dripping. Of course, that's probably going to cost a lot of money. That's half the budget right there for this vignette. No, but it's just dripping, and you just see his bones, and then you begin to see his skull, like Halloween 2 style. You know, the skull like Halloween 2. And he just stands there. He's like taking it like a champ. He just stands there, dripping and dripping and dripping. The flesh just peeling off of him. And then his skeleton remains. It just collapses into the flames and into the fire. Jamie and Rachel watch it happen. Actually, that's what it is. Jamie and Rachel, they don't escape through that's what it is. They're trying to escape, but they don't escape yet. Sorry, I had a few notes here and I forgot to delete one. They don't escape through the window because they're trapped as well, but they're not on fire, of course, because they're in a corner where there isn't, a fire, where it hasn't sort of managed to kind of seep to yet. But they're watching, or is it? Hang on a sec. Hang on 1 second here. Did I get the right note? Let me scroll all the way back because I have several notes. I just want to make sure I'm reading you the right one because I went back and forth over the weekend with a few ideas. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So they attempt to escape and then they are taken by the sudden stillness of Michael. So it's like they're trying to escape through the window and trying to get out, but then they're taken by the sudden stop of Michael, right? He just suddenly stops and he's no longer after them. The threat's been neutralized. He's not reaching for them. He's not going after them. He's just standing there. And that's when they pause and they take pause and they look at him and they watch him burn. They watch him melt. The two of them just stand there watching him melt and the skin and the flesh peeling away, the muscle peeling away, the bones just collapsing into a heap of nothing. That's what it is. And then, of course, once that happens, then they crawl out of the house and because obviously they have to get to safety. And then 1 second here. Let me scroll back up because I had a couple of them here. Okay. And then hang on a sec. Oh, wait. No. 1 second. Hang on. Flames of the night, rain soaked. Right. So then they crawl out. Of course, it's still pouring rain. Emergency vehicles arrive. It's, hitting like dawn time now, right? 6 or 7, kind of like that Halloween 2 vibe. Emergency vehicles arrive, their lights cutting through the fog and smoke. But when investigators sift through the ashes, there is no body. There is no bones. No mask. No trace of Michael Myers. Only ash and unanswered questions. In the final scene, Rachel and Jamie sit in silence at the edge of the forest. They're broken, but they are together. Not fully healed, but no longer alone. For the first time since they were kids, there is peace. And I imagine that they are sitting there with sort of the emergency vehicles behind them, the steam of the ash, they're sitting there. Emergency personnel come over. Are you okay? You're going to be okay. There's that intervening, and they're like, yeah, we're okay. There's water, there's ash and soot on their faces, and they're sitting together, holding each other. And there's a conversation that happens, and they both smile at each other and hold each other and hug. And you just cut to black. And that's it. So the question then becomes, was Michael really there? Or was it all like Halloween 4? Like the original idea that John Carpenter had for Halloween 4, which was an inspiration for this direction. So no, if you were to ask me, is Michael Myers literally there? No, it's a metaphor, right? They are, and it doesn't need to be explained, right? Like he is really there to them. He is really tangible in that moment to them. Absolutely. 100%. Yes, he's really there. But what about the deaths? And oh yeah, he's really there. But it's the manifestation of the supernatural version of him. He's the representation of the unresolved, sort of trauma. I have no other word to use. That has been manifested, that they brought to the cabin. So you could spin it in, again, it's a little elevated. I get it. Some of my audience may be like, I don't want that. It's like, well, listen, do you really want a 71-year-old Michael Myers actually there? Because if this is Halloween 4 Part 2, Michael would be 71, right? And I don't think that's the direction we need to go. And I think going in this direction, making it a little more cerebral, a little more elevated, but making it about Rachel and Jamie, making it about them. It's about them. And like, was he really there? Yes, for all intents and purposes, Michael Myers was there, but it wasn't in the same ways. Like he wasn't literally. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you know what I'm trying to say, right? It's the suppression of that unresolved trauma, that unresolved fear, that unresolved business. Because Rachel carried it with her as well, a very different way, but she carried it. Jamie carried it for her life as well. And then them coming together and facing that fear together. It's why there's the spookiness when they first get together for the weekend, right? There's the spookiness and the eeriness and, all that kind of stuff, right? And there's the mask on the tree and the neighbor who disappears and the this, that, whatever the case is. And because it's building, because they're now together. So now you're seeing Michael slowly returning because they've now come back into their lives, right? Into each other's lives. And now they're you're starting to see things like, is that, it's because it's building and they have arguments. Like they might get into some arguments because because it's awkward, right? It's awkward. They haven't seen each other in 35 years. They saw each other over Zoom, sure. And but there's no relationship there. There's no relationship, right? And the relationship that there is this is my younger sister, for all intents, who murdered my mom. It's a very awkward situation, but they're trying and they're brought back together, and but it's slowly building. And you can have them in heated arguments. You could have moments where during a heated argument, there's a significant, sort of signal of Michael Myers, right? It's almost like it's brought forth from that argument, from that evil, right? From that unresolved trauma. So they get into an argument and then they the neighbor dies, right? You know what I mean? Or something. It's almost like that sort of thing that is sort of, brought forward, right? And Howard D says, who killed the people? Well, it'd be Michael. It'd be Michael. It would be very much like how John Carpenter was going to, what his idea was for Halloween 4. But Mustafa Akkad didn't like it because he thought it was too cerebral. But I've always really liked it. And I understand, yes, it probably would have been too cerebral. But I think for this, I think it's perfect because it's 40 years later, not 10 years. It's 40 years later. And I think audiences would appreciate something like this. And it's a what if. It's not like an official Halloween 4 major motion picture theatrical release that now we're doing this. Like now we're going to do for Halloween 4 what we did, with David Gordon. No. It's a vignette. It's like, Sweet Revenge. It's like it's can be canon to a point, but it's like an anthology 45-minute, 60-minute kind of thing, right? So John Carpenter's original idea was Michael is dead, but the suppression of Halloween, the town of Haddonfield has suppressed it. They try to pretend like it didn't happen. They don't celebrate Halloween anymore. So what are they doing? They're suppressing what they need to face, right? They're suppressing what they need to face. And in that suppression, in that pretending that he doesn't exist, that suppression ironically brings the ghost or it brings Michael back, right? You know what I mean? So it would be a very similar situation here, right? In the sense that suppression brings evil back. So is Michael back? He is. He doesn't look like a ghost or anything like that, but he is back. So you could say that he really did kill those people because it's a supernatural. He's fully supernatural now, if you want to do it that way, right? You know what I mean? Which you would be doing anyway because you're doing a sequel to Halloween 4. And if we're doing a sequel to Halloween 4, well, the supernatural element, but he's more human. I mean, that's been thrown out the window. I mean, we're part 4 here. So, and again, these are sort of, first draft bullet points, right? Like you would have to go in and write a script, go through drafts, flesh it out even further, figure out the nuances. Maybe they aren't dead. Maybe at the end of it all, the sheriff shows up and he's alive, right? Maybe the neighbor comes over to find out what's going on and he's actually alive, right? But they were dead to them. Right? You could play it that way too. You could totally play it that way. That's a way that you could play it. And then maybe it's a little easier for, and I say this with all due respect, of course, maybe it's easier for more Halloween audiences to buy into that, right? Because maybe it's not, it's like, oh, that feels a little more linear. It makes more sense, right? But you could totally do it the other way as well. It's like they brought that evil to the environment because it's the sheriff that gets killed. It's the guy that's, delivering supplies that gets killed. And it's the neighbor that gets killed. All people that are there with them, right? You know what I mean? And so it's like they brought it there, right? And it's not their fault, of course. I'm just saying, of course you could look at it that way. But that's I think, a really cool idea because you take the focus. Yes, you have focus on Michael, but you really give the focus and you give the torch to Rachel and Jamie. It's a character-driven piece about rebuilding their relationship because that's the Halloween 4 Part 2 I would want to see. Like, I don't want to see some surface level Halloween 4 Part 2 with a 71-year-old Michael Myers. And then you could say, okay, yeah, but you don't have to set it in today. You could set it in 1995. Yes, you could. And then you'd have to recast Jamie Lloyd and Rachel Carruthers. So it wouldn't be Ellie Cornell and it wouldn't be Danielle Harris, right? So, and nobody wants to do that. The whole point of doing a Halloween 4 Part 2, especially for Halloween fans, is to bring back Danielle Harris. I mean, Jesus Christ, you guys wanted her back to play Laurie's daughter in the David Gordon Green trilogy. Oh my God. And I don't want to go off on that tangent, but I have, videos of why that wouldn't work and why I'm glad they didn't do that. But if you really want the Jamie Lloyd, not a version of Jamie Lloyd that has no memory of Halloween 4, if you want the actual Jamie Lloyd that has a memory of Halloween 4, it's the same Jamie Lloyd that was in Halloween 4, well, then that's what this would be. But you got to set it 40 years later, right? And have a 47, 48-year-old, Jamie Lloyd. And this is perfect. Like, it totally, bringing them back together in this way makes sense. It's properly motivated. It's justified, and building that building on that fractured relationship and having them, by the end of the movie, when there's that, like I said, what do I see here? Yes, I say, so towards the end of Act 2, when things are getting weirder and weirder, right? There's a moment, there's a build, and there's a moment where Rachel finally says the words that Jamie thought she'd never hear, that she's sorry, that she wishes she had protected her better, that she doesn't blame her for her foster mother's death. Jamie tearfully admits how alone she has felt all these years. I mean, imagine Danielle and Ellie, imagine that scene with them, right? How alone she's felt all these years and how she believed that no one could ever truly forgive her. I'm telling you right now, as actors, I would be shocked if Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris, they may have notes, and they may have some notes of maybe what they would want for their characters. But I can tell you, as an actor myself, I can tell you this is juicy shit for an actor. It may not be fan favorite, but as actors and as to bring back legacy characters from the Halloween franchise, this is juicy stuff. And it's properly motivated and makes sense. This is something an actor can really bite their teeth into. There's meat on the bone here. It's not just Jamie running around away from Michael again 40 years later. There's arcs here. We're bringing it home, right? We're bringing it home. And, she tearfully admits how alone she's felt all these years, how she believed that no one could ever truly forgive her. This moment is raw and emotional, but believable and grounded in a shared emotional truth that it wasn't Jamie that killed Rachel's mother. It was evil. There was that transference between possibly when Jamie touched Michael's hand, right? We know that there was that transference there, and it was evil. It was pure, it was pure evil. And finally, after 40 years, Rachel lets Jamie hear it. I love you, Jamie. I love you with all my heart. It's like, oh my God. And let's not forget, she was a foster kid. Her real mom, Laurie Strode, died. She was so young when she was adopted by the Lloyds, right? And it's like, geez. Or the Carruthers, I mean. She was so young. And so that's the heart of this story. And then around it, you build the Michael Myers moments and the mood and the atmosphere and the suspense and all, of course. And that's in a cabin in the woods. Again, one or two locations, right? You'd have Rachel at her house, you know what I mean? But it's like Hush. I imagine it like Hush. That's how I imagine it, where it's one location, you're isolated, except it being a deaf woman who's trying to get away to, write. It's Jamie and Rachel. And Rachel she flies to Colorado and she goes up to the cabin. You can imagine her in the car driving up. She knocks on the door, and there's the reunion, and it's awkward and it's weird. It's not, hey, bestie. It's not like that at all. It's weird. It's awkward. It's cordial. It's cordial, right? And it's not mean or anything. It's cordial because it's a little weird. Like, imagine that scenario. It's a little awkward, and you feel that. And it should be like that because that's the build, right? And it's difficult, and they have some fights, and there's things revealed. Like, remember, I believe, and these are things you can flesh out in the script, I believe that Rachel did hang on, and she did go to visit Jamie and all that, like between the time it happened and maybe 1993, like maybe, 5 years there, right? But it's been 35 years. And so, maybe they talk about that 5 years, like, why didn't you stay? Well, I got, a scholarship. I had to leave, Jamie, but I was alone and you knew it, but Dad was there, but he wasn't my real dad. Like, whatever the kid, like we find out, oh shit, like we find out more about their relationship through these conversations. It's a character-driven piece. But I think, and I know that might not seem exciting for some Halloween fans, but for actors, I can tell you that Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris would likely love that because it gives actors meat. And there's nothing more that actors want than material that allows them to act, to perform, to dive into a character, to really show vulnerability and emotion, and as long, again, as it's properly motivated, of course. But I see this as an opportunity, not to change the DNA, but to just really give a realistic perspective of where these two characters are now and how it's going to build for them. And that suppression and that fear and that unresolved trauma between them both, of Rachel basically running away from the foster sister who murdered her mom and not dealing with that, and Jamie being alone and, and her running away and not, it makes sense why she would, of course, right? She's the evil kid and she's, one of the big true crime, and now with all the true crime podcasts and all the true crime shit that's going on and all the true crime stuff, you could totally lean into that. You can show like people going, oh, that it's the 40th anniversary of the Halloween Devil Child. And you can see that maybe, Jamie hears that on a YouTube video and she, like you can see how it affects her. It still affects her 40 years later. That stuff, as a filmmaker, as a director, that's juicy for me to want to get into that and work with those actors to work towards something fantastic and to listen to them and them to listen to me and work together to get there. I love that. I love that. And it's not negating all the Halloween stuff. It makes all the Halloween stuff that much better, that much richer, that much more fulfilling. When I say all the Halloween stuff, I mean, the kills, the blood, the mood, the atmosphere, the, dun, 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 all, yeah, of course you got to have all that. But you're going to care so much about these two characters more than you already do now. More than you already do now. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if there's some people in the chat right now who are like, oh my God, I already, like, imagining this. I want to see this. I already care. I want to care on that level. That's what I think a Halloween 4 Part 2 should be. Because you can't literally bring Michael back, folks. He'd be 71. Okay. And I mean, yes, of course you could do it, but we're really stretching the point of believability, right? And so I think this works. Yes, it's a bit of a metaphor. Okay. He's there, but he's not there, but he is there. It's more of a metaphor for unresolved grief and unresolved trauma between these two sisters. And that suppression of that brings Michael back in the same way that it would have brought Michael back in John Carpenter's original idea for Halloween 4. Right? And that's my idea. That's how he's brought back. And then, of course, facing that, looking at each other and saying, I don't blame you. I love you. It wasn't your fault. It was the evil. I mean, obviously not saying it verbatim, saying all those things that hug, those heartfelt tears, the dirt and the soot on their face from crawling around and trying to get away from Myers and the thunder and the lightning and the rain. And I love you. I love you. You know what I mean? It's not your fault. We're sisters, and seeing that bond come through, maybe have flashbacks of them in that pickup truck, or on the roof of of that house. And you see that, I mean, they were, I want to see that relationship and that arc come full circle, because that's what should have happened in Halloween 5. Because that line at the beginning of Halloween 4, do you love me, Rachel? Like a sister? Like a real sister? We're not really sisters, Jamie, but that doesn't mean I love you any less. That is so important. That's foreshadowing what should have event. I'm pretty sure the writers and Dwight H. Little set that up, because the irony of it is that they're not blood sisters. They're not even stepsisters. They're foster sisters. Or sorry, half sisters. Not even half sisters. They're foster. They're not related in any way, shape, or form at all. They're completely not related. They're not sisters. It's true, they're not. But that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. And that's what that line was foreshadowing. Because by the end of Halloween 4, they were thick as thieves. They were blood sisters because of the shit they went through together. Together. And then it was shattered with the ending of Halloween 4. And I'm not saying that you should remove the ending of Halloween 4. I'm just saying you can go left or you can go right. You can go up or you can go down, right? You can go this way, you can go that way. And they went this way with Halloween 5, which I thought was a mistake, because you didn't build on the fundamental foundation, the most important, crucial part of Halloween 4, which was the relationship and the dynamic between Rachel Carruthers and Jamie Lloyd. That was what you should have, that was your perfect springboard to 100%. And I know, well, we wanted to kill Rachel because we wanted to show that anybody's, yeah, but it didn't work. It didn't work. It fell flat. It didn't work. And so I want to see that relationship come to fruition. I want to see that come full circle. And, oh my God, hang on a second. Why can't I? There we go. I want to see it come full circle. And so that's a vignette. That's a 45-minute movie, a 60-minute movie. Fuck, a half hour of TV. That's a half hour of TV I'd watch. Because I'd be like, well, this is great. Simple, keeps your budget low. I mean, yeah, okay, there's some things in there like thunder, lightning, rain, literally flesh peeling off bone. Okay, maybe I've upped the budget a little bit. But okay, we can work around that. We can work around that, right? We can have some fun. We can work around it. Maybe there's going to be compromise and something's got to go. Okay. But maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, maybe there's a way to do it. Maybe not fully, but maybe there's a way to do it that still does it justice. But the important thing is it's about that relationship and seeing them at the end. And there's many different ways. Look, these are the bullet points, the foundation. This is the foundation for my idea for a Halloween 4 Part 2. But you can take that and you can continue to flesh that out and continue to expand on that, right? But you don't want to make it bigger. Again, I don't want to set it in Haddonfield. I don't want to set it, bring in more characters and now you have this and that and no, because that's not that. It is a simple 1 or 2 location, very easy kind of thing, and the layers are important, right? Being in Jamie isolating herself in a cabin in the woods in Colorado is cinematic language thematically to where she is in her life, how she feels about herself, how she feels about her relationship to society, how she feels about her relationship to her sister, to everybody in her life who's abandoned her. Because maybe their father is like maybe Father Carruthers, he's died, he's dead. I mean, that's completely believable. It's been 40 years. If he was 40 then, he'd be 80 something now. So maybe he's dead. So she's got nobody. She's literally got nobody. I mean, maybe there's, a neighbor that, she's got a fucking dispute thing with, this guy, and maybe the neighbor maybe he doesn't want her there because he realizes that's the fucking evil devil child from 40 years ago. You could tap into that, a little bit, right? But either way, you keep it small, right? You keep it one or 2 locations. I say 2 locations because you could obviously have Rachel's house. But 1 or 2 locations, you keep it small. And it's all about that. It's all about being isolated. The 2 of them being isolated, alone, vulnerable in the woods, facing the shape. And they really believe he's come back. He's back. Oh my God, how did he find us? I don't know what the fuck is going on. Or, whatever the case is. But it is a metaphor. It's the representation of that fear, that internal battle that they are facing and that they are fighting for their lives and for their relationship and for their bond. And to see them at the end covered in soot and the cabin burned to the ground, or maybe the cabin isn't burned to the ground. Maybe it's just the basement that's, budget. Maybe it's not burned to the ground, right? Maybe it's just, the authorities show up on time. They put out the fire in the basement. The basement's charred to all hell. Like the basement's a write-off. But maybe the rest of the cabin's okay. You know what I mean? Like you could play it that way. But either way, they don't find a body. And there's questions like, what happened here? And we could figure out what they say and kind of like, well, there's no, ma'am, we didn't find any boy. You play it that way. You play it that way. You play it very similar to that kind of thing, right? Where it's you realize by the end you're like, oh fuck, and again that brings it back to all about them. It's all about them. You know what I mean? And their relationship and their bond. And I think Halloween fans would eat it up. I do. Yeah, you're always going to get some Halloween fans go, no, I want Michael literally back, really back. I want him back. I want him there. And it's like, yeah, but okay, well then you need another writer and another director, because I just think it's ridiculous to have, it was, okay, 61-year-old Michael, okay, 71-year-old, it's getting a little, you know what I mean? And so I'm the wrong guy for that. But I still think you can deliver this kind of a Halloween 4 Part 2, this story, this premise, because that's what this is. I wrote a bit of a treatment, divided into acts, and it's a premise. You can go in and flesh more out, of course. But this is the bullet point sort of treatment. And this is something I'd be excited about, because you can still deliver the Halloween shit. You can still deliver it. You're just making it, maybe a little more cerebral. But I think it's cool as fuck. And I think it gives the character of Jamie and the characters of Jamie and Rachel a terrific send-off. And that final shot of them sitting there together, they're broken, but they're together. They're starting again. Their relationship, now that they've defeated the evil, not just out there, but the evil that has been within themselves. That's what it's all about, folks. It's the evil that has had a hold on, I'm sure you guys have figured this out by now. It's the evil that has had a hold on them both for 40 years. And finally, it has been released. He's gone. That's why I call it Halloween Season's End. And you can call it anything. If there's a better title out there, great. But that's a working title. And that's what it's about. You never lose focus on it being about Jamie and Rachel. It's a character-driven Halloween 4 Part 2. And I would like to think that Halloween fans, you tell Halloween fans that's what it's going to be, they would shit all over it. If this actually was what they were going to do, fuck, I'd be all for it. By the way, my phone is on if they, I'm just saying. But if they wanted to do this, if they wanted to do it, I guarantee you, if it got out that this is what they were doing, a lot of Halloween fans would shit on it, because they'd be worried that it was going to turn into what so many people are worried is going to happen with Crystal Lake. But the reality is that if it just came out and people watched it, I bet you people would fucking love it. Yeah, you'd still have people going, so Michael's not actually there. Like, he's there, but he's not. But so this is like that John Carpenter Halloween 4. And you'd have people going, it doesn't feel, and it's like, okay, yeah, okay. But I want to believe that there'd be a large portion of the fan base that would really be into it, that would really like it, and by the end be like, fuck yeah, because it's Rachel and Jamie. It's Danielle Harris and Ellie Cornell. And we see them together. And you see that relationship come full circle, and you can, and it's ridden off into the sunset. I think that would be so cool. So, anyways, folks, that is my idea. That is my fleshed out premise at the very least. Halloween 4 Part 2. it would never, I don't think we're ever going to see a Halloween 4 Part 2. You're certainly never going to see a major motion picture wide theatrical release of Halloween 4 Part 2. That's never going to happen. But I do believe that this is something that you could shoot on a modest budget because of location. And I do believe this is something that, I mean, again, if it's an hour long, 45 minutes, maybe it doesn't quite qualify as a vignette, but maybe it does. But it's something like that, or it's just an anthology thing, something like that. I think that would be really cool. And because I don't know Danielle Harris. I don't know Ellie Cornell, but I will go out on a limb because I know actors. I know a lot of actors, and being an actor myself, I can tell you that I guarantee that if they were pitched that premise, they would probably really love that idea for their characters. Just from a pure, especially for Danielle, because it's so much a part of her life. It's the biggest thing she's known for. It's the thing that will be first in her obituary. It's, I mean, she's the Halloween girl. And, for better or worse, because she's obviously gone on and done other things, but she's the Halloween girl. And she loves her Halloween fans. And this, to step into that kind of a role, I think would be really great. Really, really great. And that's how you do it. You do it in a way, and it's just one. You don't take it over 3 movies or 3 episodes. You just do one. And I think it would be, I think both Ellie and Danielle would, again, they might have some notes and they might want to, discuss things, of course. But the premise of that is juicy for an actor, and it respects the characters. It respects the characters on where they were, where they are now, and where they go and where they end up. It doesn't embarrass them. It doesn't embarrass the characters or their legacies. And as a matter of fact, I believe it enriches their characters and their legacies. And it gives a whole new meaning when you think of Jamie Lloyd and Rachel Carruthers. And so that's my idea, folks. I would love to see something like that. Small, but a lot of meat on the bone that I think would be really, really cool and give the proper send-off for those 2 characters. Folks, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on my idea for Halloween 4 Part 2. My premise, again, a one-off thing. It's not starting a new franchise. It's not, or a new franchise, a new, series or a new set of films. It's just a one-off, like a vignette or like a short film, or when I say short film, I don't mean 10 minutes. I mean 45 or something. Or like maybe part of a Halloween anthology series where they do different Halloween stories. So they do this story, they do the Charlie Bowles story, they do, a season of the witch story, that kind of thing. It would fit perfectly in something like that. Let me know your thoughts, folks. I'd like to know. Let me just, let me see here. Let me go back to the, I know some super chats did come in, so I want to get them. Josh Stevens, what's going on, Josh? Says, I heard Danielle Harris said in a recent podcast her idea for the next Halloween film would to do a sequel to Halloween 6, and the real Jamie wasn't killed. Would love to see DH return, but only with your idea. Well, thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see a sequel to Halloween 6. I heard that. It was something like Halloween 6, it wasn't actually Jamie Lloyd, right? And that's a way you could do it. But that still means that Rachel Carruthers is dead. And listen, Ellie Cornell is retired from acting, so to get her to jump on board, I think would be difficult. But if it's handled with TLC, if the role is juicy, if there's something there, if the price is right, it's something that might be really, really fast. I like, maybe it's just how I think about horror, but when I think of this idea, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, yes, that I would love to see that. And it doesn't need to be anything more than what it is. You get all the great Michael, you get the Halloween theme, you get the bump, bump, bump. He's back. A thunderstorm, lightning, the mask, lit properly, and Michael chasing Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris through a fucking cabin in the woods. Come on! Yeah, but it's not actually. I said, yeah, okay. But it is. It is. You don't have to explain it. Right? You don't have to explain this version of Michael. Maybe he really is there. But the only way to truly kill him now, because remember, all the other movies don't exist. 5 to 6, H2O, the David, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. This is, for all intents and purposes, an alternate Halloween 5, right? So this is connected to 4 and 2 and 1. So you can absolutely, yeah, for sure, man. Oh, I think it'd be great. But that's me. That's me. Wayne Downey sends in $5. Thank you, Wayne. Says, have you seen Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks trailer? If so, thoughts? I did see it and I liked it. I thought it was cool. I think it looks like it has, there's some promise. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh. And says, what does it mean when an actor either produces or executive produces their own movie? Like Jamie Lee Curtis sometimes does. Does it mean anything in terms of how much say, since she's a known name? Yes. Oh, for sure. No, she would have a say. Because she's starring in it. She's executive producing it. So she would have a say in the script. She would have a say in her character. She might have a say in other characters. It depends on how involved she wants to be on a producing level. Boots on the ground or in the day-to-day producing. She may have a say in who the director is and who the other actors are in their roles. So it can vary, but yeah, they can. KC sends in $19.99. Thank you. Says, Dave, I know you've said it over and over to know about a Halloween fan film, but with the right money and all of us who support it, I really think it could bring back the real Halloween. We really need this, Dave. Well, I appreciate that very much, and I'm glad that you need it. The reason why I'm not doing any more fan films is because in order to do fan films at the level that we did the Billy films, again, these are professionally produced films, right? So with professional production value, professional crews, professional actors, and I can't work that hard again without being paid. And that might sound a bit selfish or a bit weird, but I don't mean it like that. Like, you have to understand that doing a fan film on your iPhone with a bunch of friends in your backyard, not a big deal. But when you are dealing with unions and ACTRA and SAG-AFTRA and guilds and production insurance and professional crews and, $200,000 films, I mean, this is not something you just willy-nilly put together. And remember, a fan film, Bruce and I literally got paid nothing. When we did the Billy films, we literally got paid zero, literally, because legally we can't. And the amount of work, and we loved it because we were passionate about it, but we both said to each other, if we're ever going to we're making real movies and not getting paid. Yes, they're fan films because we don't own the intellectual property, but these are real low-budget indie horror films. We're shooting on cinematic grade cameras. We're using the same equipment that they use to make Hollywood films on. We're using a professional crew that work in Canada's film and TV industry. They're our friends, yes, but they work on major shows that you watch, and all this kind of stuff. And, Chucky and Star Trek and so, and the actors too, right? And so to work at that level, even on a low budget short, and not, like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And so I just have no interest in doing it as a fan film. If Trancas and Malik was like, we really love this, we would love to do something like this, like how they did with Sweet Revenge, right? Because everybody who worked on Sweet Revenge got paid, okay? Because it's under the Jason Universe brand. It is official. Then I'm all down. Okay. Yes, because then I'm going to have the resources and the time and the budget and even though it may not be a theatrically released movie and it's just a vignette or a short film, whatever it is, but okay, because I'm going to get paid. And then I'm going to have the proper resources and the proper people, and I don't have to crowdfund and, and all that kind of shit, right? And so my fan film days are over in terms of writing, producing, and spearheading from my perspective. But it's only because I've set a certain bar, and I have to live up to that bar now. I mean, every movie I do, every fan film, like if I was to continue to make fan films, people expect, well, I mean, there's a certain bar that I've achieved, right? And so I have to now continue to make movies like that. And it's a lot of work when it's basically a second job. And Bruce has said that too. Bruce works full time. He works in the industry, but he works full time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 7 or 8 at night, if he's doing overtime. And that's not producing the Billy. And then he's also producing the Billy films, right? And it's like a second job. And, and when you're an indie filmmaker, sometimes to save money, you have to take on several different roles, right? So we're not only writer, director, and producer, but we're also production manager and props master and line producer, and, and script supervisor. And, and that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. And so, so I appreciate the enthusiasm and I hear you. I totally hear you. But I think for something like this, and also if I was going to produce this as a fan film, I would want to produce it at pro level, like we did the Billy films. And Malik would not, Trancas International would shut that down, especially if I had Danielle Harris and Ellie Cornell in it. If I somehow was able to convince them to be in it, Malik he would shut that down faster than you can say police brutality. What movie is that from? I've said that before. But he'd shut that down. And so it can't be a fan film. It has to be a legit, officially produced, officially licensed short film, vignette, whatever the case is. Now, I agree with you. That I would love to see it. I think it's awesome. I'd love to see it. But it's something that is... it's something that is probably not going to happen. And it's too bad. However, I mean, if Malik ever sees this, if Danielle ever sees this, or Ellie ever sees this, hey, I think this is Malik. I think this would be a great direction for a anthology TV series, maybe a vignette of some sort, like they're doing with Friday the 13th. I'm telling you, this would, and do it totally legit, totally pro. Of course, you would, and firing on all cylinders, and we could make a 45-minute kind of thing that would be character driven, but still Michael, but using that idea, the essence of that idea that John Carpenter initially had for Halloween 4, which was Michael's not literally back. He did die in the fire at the end of 2, but that suppression, Haddonfield in 1988, the original idea was the town of Haddonfield is suppressing Halloween. They're no longer celebrating it. You don't dare talk about it. They haven't celebrated Halloween in 10 years. That suppression and not facing reality, not facing their fears, not facing the evil, they're just suppressing it, ironically brings Michael back. And that was an original pitch. And Mustafa Akkad didn't want to do it. He thought it was too cerebral. And he may have been right for that time in 1988. But now, I don't know. Now, especially if you frame it, see, it's all how it's framed. If you frame it like a vignette or like a short film or like a what if, then I think for hardcore fans who want something, no, Michael Michael back, I want him really back. It softens it a bit because there's an air of, it's like Elseworlds. It's like, it's a what if. It's not like a theatrically released major motion picture even though it's still legit and it's still the same actors and it still brings closure to their arcs based on the actual movie. It might soften the blow a little bit, right? You know what I mean? Like if this vignette called Sweet Revenge is dog shit and nobody likes it, how many of you are going to justify and go, well, it's just a vignette. It doesn't really count. Even though it's legit, it's supposed to be real Jason, 100%. It's officially licensed. This is Jason Voorhees. He's back. It's just a 13-minute commercial for apple cider. But it's legit, But I think if you do it that way, if you frame it that way, you may be able to have your cake and eat it too a little bit. Because if nobody likes it, well, then you can do it's a vignette. And it was a fun experiment, right? It was a fun experiment. It's kind of cool. But if it's great, and if it's really good, and if Danielle and Ellie knock it out of the park, woo, that might open the door to other short films like this. Or that might be your first installment, Malik, to an anthology series. That might be like, this was really well received. People really like this. Maybe we should think about doing some other stuff. You know what I mean? Is it worth the risk? I think it is, because there's really only upside. Because if nobody likes it, and the chances of being a total disaster is highly unlikely. So if people are like, meh, yeah, it's all right. Well, then no harm, no foul. It's a vignette. It's a short film. You know what I mean? It's, whatever. No harm, no foul, right? But if it's great, then I think there's a lot there. So I think it'd be cool, man. I think it would be very cool. Let me see here. But I bet we would all support it, get you paid, just a budget. Well, I can't get paid though. That's the thing. I can't legally be paid for an IP I don't own. Just put a budget in, wouldn't hurt to try. It may open a lot of eyes. I'm just not interested. Look, if you want to support, then I ask you to support the original film that I'm doing, The House on Port Robinson Road. I know it's not Halloween, and I know it's not a slasher, but if you want to see original horror, and if you really want to support me, if you believe in me, then the link pinned to the chat room here, help support The House on Port Robinson Road. It's the Development Funds campaign, an original psychological, supernatural horror drama inspired by true events from my second year of college. Right? It's development funding right now. The link is pinned to the top of the chat, and that would mean the world to me, because that's a movie I can get paid to do. Now, the money you're sending me is not going into my pocket. I'm just saying that's a movie that once I end up making, I will hopefully get paid to do. Right? Well, I will get paid to do it. How much is, who knows? Right? It's my first feature. Usually, first time directors don't get paid a huge amount. But the money raised on that development funds campaign goes towards the development of my dream project, right? So if you want to support me, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. But please know that legally I cannot get paid to make a fan film. Nobody can. We would be sued. And you have to remember that Trancas and the Accods, they shut down fan films. They've let some go by, but just recently, about a year or so ago, there was a bunch of Halloween fan films on YouTube that got cease and desists and were taken down. And fan films that don't even look anything like a professional production. Some look pretty good, and then others you're like, yeah, this is clearly a fan film, but they were taken down. There was a fan film about 10 years ago that was that never finished because they had Tony Moran in it. They had Tony Moran. And Trancas found out that Tony Moran was in it. They were like, I don't think so. Done. They didn't even end up finishing the movie. They receive a cease and desist. So some IPs get passes, like Friday the 13th right now. It seems that, people are okay. Black Christmas, of course, is, not a huge IP, so we tend to slip under the radar a bit. But when it comes to Halloween, they are a juggernaut in the slasher subgenre, and Malik is very protective. Trancas is very protective of their IP, and I can guarantee you, if I produced on my own this kind of thing with Danielle Harris and Ellie Cornell, with a budget of $500,000, let's say, or $1 million, that would be shut down like it's nobody's business. There is I guarantee you that. I've been in this space long enough to know that would happen, and I can't get paid to do it. So the only way it would happen, Casey, is if it became official and I was brought on board to spearhead it. Then great. Then I don't have to worry about getting my ass sued. But with original, so my fan film days as a writer, director, producer are done. Obviously, I will, be Freddy again if there's ever going to be a Dylan Zoo Nightmare 2. But in terms of writing and directing and producing, I have moved on now to original projects, which is The House on Port Robinson Road, because that's a movie that I own. And that's a movie that I hope to make one day. I will make it one day. It's inevitable. That's why I'm working hard on it. And that's a movie that you might go to the theater to see or rent on Prime or see on Netflix or, wherever. That's a movie I can actually seek distribution with, right? And get it out there to the masses. You know what I mean? And so that movie I'm very excited about. I know it's not Halloween, but yeah, if you want to support folks, I would really, really appreciate it. It means the world to me. And every little bit helps. Like I said, there's a bloodbath double feature on there. Halloween night, October 31st. It's limited to 100 people. We're watching Halloween Kills and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's going to be awesome. So I want to sell that out. I want to sell it out. So hopefully I can sell that out. I'll just bug you with super chats. I like that. Let me see here. Matthew Freesey, $9.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, since Samhain is a Celtic holiday, what if a reimagining of Halloween took place in Ireland, set in the 70s with a whole new set of characters? Would have good scenery at least. Yeah, that might be kind of cool for sure. Yeah, I'd be down for that. Yeah. Or maybe it's like it's part of the anthology. Maybe it's an episode, right? I like the idea, Matthew. That's pretty cool. Casey says, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And okay, I'll check the link. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Yes, folks, I have written my first feature-length horror film. And I have a lookbook already, and it's a serious endeavor. It's inspired by true events from my second year of college. It's a psychological horror supernatural drama. And I've had people read the script already and really like it. And several people in the industry read it and really like it. They think there's something here. And so I am full steam ahead on this, but I'm raising development funds because it costs a lot of money to develop it as well. So the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Let me see here. Let me see. Let's go over actually to the other screen and see what we're looking at there. There it is. Oh, hey, we went up. Awesome. So we're at 42%. 109 backers. There's only 38 days left, folks. That's 8,457 Canadian. I want to be at 50% by the end of the weekend. That's where I want to be. And if we were to sell 12 more of that bloodbath perk, that thing right there, we'd be there. We'd be there. So there's 150 of you in the chat right now, and I want to sell it out. How many have we sold already, by the way? We've sold, let me see here. We've sold 40. We've sold 40. So there's 60 spots left. You can see it right there. There's 60 spots left. I want to sell that out. That's $50 Canadian, but that's only about $36 US and 25 pounds in the UK. So it's quite cheap. Very affordable. Very affordable. And even if you can't attend because you're trick-or-treating with your kids or you got a Halloween party, you can still pick it up because you'll have the link. You'll be able to watch it the next day. So you'll still have it. But thank you. And lots of stuff here on the campaign as well for you to check out. T-shirts, concept posters, and once we get to 50% on the campaign, 50% on the campaign, I will be putting this special edition concept poster up on the campaign. Look at that. Look how fucking awesome that is. Awesome. That is it's our third concept poster for the house on Port Robinson Road. The top tagline says, "Another dimension of consciousness awaits." And the bottom tagline says, "They say it's the place where the dead speak." Remember, folks, this is inspired by a true story. It's inspired by true events from my second year of college. And I'm very, very excited about this. But this is a major feature film. So this is, like I said, on past shows, I did a preliminary budget breakdown about 3 months ago, and it came to about $2.5–3 million. But one of the reasons why I'm raising development funds is because I want to hire a line producer and go through the script with the line producer and figure out exactly the actuals. How much is this going to cost? Is it a $3 million movie? Is it a $5 million movie? Is it a $2.5 million movie? And that's part of the development. But if we can hit 50% on the campaign, that poster is going up on the campaign to purchase as well, and a signed version as well. A signed copy and an unsigned copy will be there as well. So, but we got to get to 50%. But yeah, so that's my idea for Halloween 4 Part 2, folks. I'm looking forward to reading some of your thoughts about it. Howard D says, idea for next one. I've always wanted to revisit the town world of Santa Maria. Yes, 40, yeah, Season of the Witch. Yeah. Well, you could do a streaming service on Season of the Witch alone, or you could do an anthology episode, right? There's maybe a Halloween 4 Part 2. There's a Charlie Bulls episode. There's a Season of the Witch episode. There's lots of stories you can do built in and around or in the Halloween universe. You know what I mean? Like, you could totally do that. 100%. Absolutely. You could do that. Yeah. So, by the way, yeah, the link to the campaign is pinned to the top of the chat. So again, folks, every little bit helps. I'd love to get to 50% by the end of the weekend. 45% would be $9,000. It sounds like a lot. Like, when you look at that, you see, oh, but that's another $500, Dave. Yes, but that's just basically 10 people picking up the bloodbath perk, right? And so there's 150 people in here. If only 10 of you picked up the bloodbath perk, we'd be at 45%, which is amazing. And it goes to a good cause. It goes to help with the development of the house on Port Robinson Road. And I thank each and every one of you so far who has believed in me and has wanted to give back in this way. I've had so many people reach out privately and say, and I'm not kidding. They say things like, my shows have gotten them through hard times and, through divorces and marriages and just through difficult moments in life. And it's just unbelievable to hear that kind of thing. And then some people have even said, like, you've made so much of this content. I mean, the least I can do is, do this, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, you don't have to, of course, it's entirely up to you, but it's really cool when people give back in that way. And because it means a lot to me, it means a lot to me. It shows that you care and that you care about the dreams that I have and the things that I want to do. Right. And so, and to help me in that way means a lot. So I really appreciate it. Not everybody's going to care, right? Not everybody's going to care. There are people that are just on here to consume and not give. And I understand that. And that's okay too. But those that do give, thank you. I really appreciate it. Have I missed any super chats or member chats? I just want to make sure I haven't missed any super chats or member chats at all. It doesn't look like it. No, it doesn't look like I have. I think somebody would say something if I had. But let me know, folks. Let me know. You guys are, I don't know what you guys are chatting about here. You guys are going back and forth. Let me see here. Opinion on Limp Bizkit. Not related, but I'm curious. For me, Limp Bizkit? Oh, I mean, I've heard their songs, but I couldn't care less. I grew up with within that era, but I don't know. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Just not generally my kind of music. Isn't that Fred Durst? Is he the lead singer of Limp Bizkit? Anyway, let me see here. People are discussing Jamie Lloyd's age. I see that. Let me see. The Primetime Podcast says Danielle still looks the same. Let's not do that. She still very much looks like Jamie. Oh, you mean de-age? Are people talking about de-age? No. Don't de-age her. I'm telling you, this is what you got to do. I don't know if that's what somebody said, but I think this is what you got. Set it 40 years later. Allow women to be their age. Both Danielle and Ellie have, I know Danielle's got fake boobs and maybe a few fake, injections. But, they are aging. Allow them to age and be their age. Allow them to be their age. And I think it works better. It works better. It works way better. And by the way, if you're going to de-age an entire 45-minute movie, money, that ain't cheap. I don't know if somebody was talking about that, but I'm just saying, in case somebody was. You don't want to do that. Let me see here. Scrolling back. I'm just scrolling back to see what some of you are saying. Dave, if Michael has supernatural aspects to him like John Carpenter wanted in the original, then wouldn't that mean that Michael Myers is basically immortal? So why does it matter if he's almost 71? Well, not necessarily, right? I mean, is something that's supernatural immortal? Like it depends on how you define the rules of your universe, right? I mean, just because something is supernatural, something that is supernatural is not bound by they're bound by the rules that you give the story. They're bound by the rules that you give the universe, right? And so whatever the rules are into what this manifestation of Michael is, how this connects to the larger world of this universe and Halloween and what it means, then Michael is dead. Because what is the reason he's there? Well, the reason he's there is the unresolved trauma and the unresolved, lingering, lack of, relationship. All that baggage between Rachel and Jamie has been unresolved for 40 years. And, the murder of her mother and the institutionalization. And you can build on it. Like you can build on and build it up in that 5 years that they were actually, in contact. Maybe there's other things too, right? Maybe there was a night that Jamie was really looking forward to Rachel being there, and Rachel and her maybe Rachel turned to drinking and she didn't end up, there's so many things you can build upon it to help pad and the events of that time. And so I think it would be more of a situation where, what are the rules, and why is this manifestation there? Well, it's there because Jamie and Rachel basically have brought him back to kill it, and he's been defeated. And so now that Rachel and Jamie's bond is, rekindled, they've had to hit rock bottom in order to rise like a phoenix again, right? You know what I mean? They have at the end of this vignette, we'll say, there's a long road to recovery. I mean, it's not like they're, right out. I mean, but that's the beginning of healing. It's the beginning of moving on and rekindling and having a relationship. And that could take several years, right? But this is the inception of it. This is the nucleus of that beginning journey of healing between Rachel and Jamie after all these years. And so, yeah, in this moment, in this universe, he's dead. He's gone. He's gone. He's not Freddy Krueger, right? He's not a dream. He's not a dream demon, right? But then again, those are the rules of the Freddy universe. What are the rules of the Halloween universe? How is Michael supernatural in this instance? He's not a demon. He's not like, it's not The Conjuring. How are you? Those are the things that you have to flesh out and figure out what are the rules? What is it they're exactly seeing? How does he interact with the physical world? And what does it mean when he's defeated, right? And when you figure out those rules, but no, it doesn't mean that at all. It's not like there's one set of rules for supernatural things. Now, we often do see that with supernatural movies and supernatural characters because franchise. Hello. You know what I mean? And people keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. So I think Hollywood has ingrained in its audience that for something to be supernatural, it is therefore is therefore immortal because it is supernatural. But there are different layers to supernatural. Right? There's different layers to supernatural abilities there's layers, right? There's a spectrum of what that could mean to the universe and the sandbox that you're playing in. And you make the rules. And so I don't believe it necessarily means that at all. Like I wouldn't end it on some sort of like moment where you see Michael behind the tree behind it. No. It's gone. He's gone. Because it was really that manifestation brought him back. And now that they're healing, he's gone. They face their fear. So he's gone. Like it really is very much like the ending of the original Halloween, where Michael's gone at the end of that. I mean, it's a bit different. I get it. It's a bit different, but it's that same thing, right? Where it's not set up to set a sequel. It's set up to bring the message home, right? And this is kind of where it's a bit different, but it's similar in the sense that this doesn't set up a sequel. It's to bring it home. It's to face the boogeyman, face the fears that you've suppressed inside. And once you do that, you are released, and that's it. And that's it. It's not, he's not Pennywise, where, oh, he's only suppressed for another 27 years. No, he's gone. He's gone. Because these are the rules that we're making here in this thing. But I understand why you asked the question, because it could be very easy to move in that direction and very easy to it's a good question because, well, is he actually dead? Because that's just how horror movies are. But that's why you want to make it very clear that this is a character-driven piece. So it's very clear at the end of the movie, or at the end of the show or the vignette, whatever. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Oh, yes. It's about them. It's about them. So by the end, you as an audience know, yeah, this isn't like this isn't like the end of all the other Halloween movies. It's very much about them and the trauma and the rekindling of their relationship, right? And it's a little more cerebral than maybe the average Halloween fan would like. But I like it. I like it because I think I just think I think it's better than having 71-year-old Michael come back. Personally. But that's me. That's me. All right. What's the time here? KC says, P.S. This is Karl who sent you the 78 jersey. Oh, yes. Hey, yes. I still have it, buddy. I still have it. It's in my closet. I still got it, man. Great jersey. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. What's the time here? Okay. Well, I've been on for a while here. I wanted to talk more about the crowdfunding stream, but we've gone up again. We've gone up again. I'm loving it. We are literally now just one bloodbath perk away from hitting 43%. Just one bloodbath perk away from hitting 43%. Let me give a shout out to whoever just picked up these perks. I don't know who they are, but let me see here. You guys are amazing. We've got Karl Lamas, is that how you say that? Picked up a bloodbath double feature, loving it. Gina Armstrong, I'm loving it. Picked up a bloodbath perk. Diamond Rattler, I'm loving the name, Diamond Rattler. I love it, I love it. Picked up a bloodbath perk as well. Josh McKenna donated $15 earlier in the day. Amazing, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I saw that Darren Wiseman also picked up a t-shirt earlier yesterday. Awesome, folks, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, are there a couple more bloodbath perks out there? I mean, Jesus. There's still 132 people watching. Could we get this thing to 45%? I mean, that means we need like 10 people to pick one up, which is probably not going to happen. But I'm sure, we could get it to 43%, right? 43%? That's just one person buying the bloodbath double feature. One person right now picks up the bloodbath double feature. That sucker's going to tick to 43%. There's got to be somebody, right? There's got to be somebody. There's got to be somebody. Yeah. What do I need to do? Do I need to I don't know. Yeah, come on. Do it. Come on. Let me see here. Urban Assault Studios says, speaking of which, do you still hate Halloween 5 or not? Boy, there's a lot of people that don't tune in unless I'm talking Halloween. Pretty sure I know the answer to this, but I'm just, in case I'm wrong. Okay, look, I don't hate Halloween 5. All right. I don't like Halloween 5. But I will often be theatrical and go to the extreme to be theatrical and be like, a Halloween 5 is dog shit. What, I hate that guy. You know what I mean? So yes, for all intents and purposes, do I still hate Halloween 5? Yes, I hate Halloween 5. But I wouldn't sit here and I don't think it's the worst in the franchise. And I think that goes to Halloween Resurrection. Yes, even over Halloween Ends. I don't hate Halloween Ends. But do I like Halloween 5? No, I don't like Halloween 5. I don't think it's dog shit. It's dog shit. But yeah. Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering why I chose Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills, it is because, according to online, they are the two most bloodiest and most violent in the Halloween franchise. So I thought Halloween night, again, limited to 100 people, Halloween night, Friday, October 31st, 2025, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't worry if you can't watch it because you're trick-or-treating with your kids, you got a Halloween party you're going to. If you purchase the perk, you'll get the link anyway because you've purchased it. So you'll be able to watch it after the fact, either later that night or the next day or the next year, whenever you want to watch it. It will be yours forever. So, but it's limited to 100 people, folks. Halloween night. It's only $36 US, 25 pounds in the UK, give or take, $50 Canadian. It would mean a lot, folks. It would mean a lot. KC just said, I just purchased the Bloodbath perk. Love it, love it, love it. That was you, Karl, right? That was probably you that did it. It was amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you, KC, for doing that. I really appreciate it. Again, just one more Bloodbath perk would take this to 43%. Could we do it? I don't know. Simon Mills says, I get paid Thursday. We'll get Bloodbath then, Dave. Love from the UK. Awesome, Simon. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Let me see here. Kenny Pham says, Jamie Lloyd is a Gen Xer. She is. Yeah, she's on the cusp. She's on the cusp, but she is. Yeah, she is. Danielle Harris is. Jamie is 8 in Halloween 4. Is she? I thought she was 7 because don't you hear Rachel say at the beginning, she says something about 7-year-old. Yeah, she says something about the 7-year-old world record for 7-year-old insomnia or something like that. The 7-year-old world record for insomnia. Something like that. Yes. Yeah, no, we're all wrong. Well, I wasn't wrong. That's why I said she's 47. I said she's 47 in 2028. That's why I said she's 47, folks. Because it's mentioned in the movie that she's 7. Now, Danielle Harris is actually 10 or 11 in that movie. So that's why she actually looks a lot older than 7. But she is 7 in Halloween 4, which is why in my little treatment there, I said she's 47. Howard D says, yes, she does say that. Okay, yeah. No, I used to think that she was older. I thought she was like 8 or 9. The character, I mean. But no, apparently she's not. Apparently she's not. Let me see here. Is there any one more last Bloodbath double feature? There's 137 people. Certainly there's got to be at least one person in there that's like, Dave, I love you, man. I want to give back. I want to say thank you for all the years of free content you've provided. Is it working? Is the guilt trip working? Is it working? Howard D says, but in Halloween 5, they say she's 9. Yeah, well, that's just another reason to hate Halloween 5. It's another reason to hate Halloween 5. Brandon Collins says she was 10 and around 11 on set. Turned 11 on set. She turned 12 on the set of, yeah, see, there you go. So she does look a little too old to be 7, but according to the movie, she is 7 in that. So, yeah. I'll take this right to 2 hours, folks. So that's another 7 minutes, and then we will call it a day. Any other, let me see. Have I missed any super chats or member chats? I don't think I have. I don't believe I have. No, it doesn't look like I have. Okay. I just want to make sure I am not missing any member chats, super chats. Boom, 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 boom. So how old is Jamie Lloyd in Curse, Dave? If she's 7 in age 4, how old is she in Curse? Well, she'd be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. She'd be 14. She'd be 14. I think, don't they say she's 16 in Curse? And she is 15 in Curse. Okay, they say she's 15. Yeah, no, it's silly. I mean, it's silly. It's like, well, and unbeknownst to me, I recently was corrected and found out that the TV cut of Halloween, the TV cut of the original Halloween, where Dr. Loomis says, you fooled him, haven't you, Michael? But not me. That actually is Will Sandon. I didn't think it was Will Sandon. It actually is Will Sandon. And he's fucking 12 because he was not, 11. No, yeah, 12. And it's only supposed to be 6 months later. That does not look like a six-year-old child, unless he's bench pressing at Smith Grove, and maybe they've injected him with like performance-enhancing drugs. Maybe that's what they've done, and he's on roids or something. But that's the biggest 6-year-old I've ever seen. You fooled them, haven't you, Michael? Maybe he's referring to the fact that you're not 6, you're 12. You fooled them, haven't you, Michael? But not me. I know a bloody 12-year-old when I see one. Look at your biceps. Look at your pectoral muscles. Look at those rippling thighs. I know you're not 6. 6? Fuck it, he's not 6. He's a full-grown man. This isn't a man. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy, ladies and germs. Absolutely crazy. Let me see. That's right. Well, when I say I don't hate Halloween 5, what I mean, like, hate's a strong word, right? Like, I don't come from the era where you either hate something or you love something, right? I don't come from the era where things are either a 10 out of 10 or it's shit. So for me to hate something, it'd have to be like a 1 out of 10. I wouldn't give Halloween 5 a 1 out of 10, right? I might give it like a 4 or a 5 or something. You know what I mean? So, there's some redeeming qualities. Not a lot, but, it's as close to hating as you can get. All right. Anybody? Do we see anybody want to take this thing to 43%? Anybody want to get this to 40? Again, that's one last. You can pick up any perk you want that's going to take it over the 8,600 mark. But the Bloodbath double feature will do it, folks. The Bloodbath double feature will do it. Again, only 38 days left. That'll go down to 37 tomorrow. Again, this is the development funds campaign for the house on Port Robinson Road. So these funds are going to pay things for things like legal fees and concept art and, hiring a line producer and travel costs and, to meetings and all that kind of stuff. And maybe even to secure a name actor on board for a specific role in the film. Or maybe even a concept trailer or, it depends how much we raise. Obviously I can't do all of that with just 20,000 Canadian. But if we hit our stretch goals, which are 30,000 Canadian, 22,000 US, and 60,000 Canadian, about 45,000 US, then that opens the door to those things being a real possibility. But certainly, if we reach our base goal of 20,000 Canadian, again, that's the base goal of development, that will put the campaign into in demand. And then I, don't have to be pushing the campaign as hard because we will have reached our goal and we will be in demand and we can then raise funds after the fact until I don't want to raise funds anymore, until the funds raised have hit the mark to what I need. So don't forget I'll just hang on. The link is pinned to the top of the chat, but I'll just put it there into the chat room as well. So again, if we could hit 43% by the end of this show today, we've got just a couple of minutes left in the show. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome because then that means I only need 7% more to get to this time next week, which is where I want to be. I want to be at 50% by the 1 month mark. And as soon as we hit 50%, that poster, that beautiful concept poster is going up onto the campaign. I will sign it. There'll be a signed option and unsigned option as well. And that's just awesome. All right. Let me see. No missed super chats. Nothing. Okay. Juan Rivera says, Dave, I went to see the new Naked Gun and man, was it funny as fuck. So old school, and Liam Neeson did great taking over the role. I hear it's great, man. I hear it's great. So I really do want to see it. I think I'm going to go see Weapons this weekend, though. But I'm excited to see that one as well because I love Liam Neeson, and I love him in those roles. Josh Stevens just said, Dave, do you plan on to see Weapons this weekend? As a matter of fact, I do. As a matter of fact, I do. Yeah, I think I've heard great reviews. Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb has already seen it. He really liked it. I'm hearing it's unexpected. So the trailers, but I really liked Barbarian. So, I'm looking forward to seeing, is it Zach Kreger? I think that's his name. I'm looking forward to checking this out and seeing what it is. And I hope I like it because the trailers have enticed me, intrigued me. Looks like my kind of horror, but I also hear it's a bit unexpected as well. So I'm open to that. I just want to see where I'm on for the ride. Take me where it goes. And hopefully I'll walk out of the theater really enjoying it. So we'll see. But yes, I am going to see it. Should be good. Let me see here. Hey, we did it! Amazing! We had 43%. I just saw that Microsoft said you should be able to refresh. I'm assuming you mean this. Maybe it's Microsoft that helped us out. I don't know. Yay! We had 43%. You guys are awesome. Sincerely, I mean, you guys are listen, like I said, and like I always say, I know this development funds campaign is not as exciting as a production funds campaign, but it's important to remember that raising the production budget via crowdfunding is highly unlikely for The House on Port Robinson Road, only because it's probably a $3 or $4 million movie. You might be able to raise some funds, but I decided to utilize crowdfunding to raise some development money so we can get ourselves in a really great position so we can actually get the money we need through a studio or production company or private investors or, a producer or angel, however it goes down, co-productions, whatever, to be able to make the funds. So even though these funds don't go to actually making the movie itself, it still goes to making the movie, if you know what I mean, like for all intents and purposes. So one day you're going to be able to sit back and see this movie on Prime or Netflix or in the theater or wherever, whatever happens to it, you're going to be able to sit back and go, I put funds towards that movie. Because you kind of did. You helped the development of this movie. So it's really fucking cool if you think about it. You know what I mean? And this is not a fan film. This is a feature-length original horror film, original psychological horror supernatural drama inspired by true events from my second year of college. And it's a big feature film. It will be my first feature film written and directed by. So I'm doing everything I can to put myself in the best possible position for the best probability of success. So thank you for taking this thing to 43%, 3.5 weeks in. I think that is just awesome. Let me give a shout out to that individual who was, it was Mike Detoni. Is that how you say that? Detoni? I think that's how you say that. Picked up the Bloodbath double feature. Awesome. I'm hoping we can sell that Bloodbath double feature out. And since we are all Halloween fans here, you would think so, right? Like it's limited to 100 people. We've got about 41 or 42. How much do we have now? 41 or 42? No, we've got 40. How many people have picked it up? 43 people. So 43 people have picked it up. So, whoops, there we are. 43 people have picked it up. So there's 57 left, right? 57 left. I would love to sell it out. Like we should be able to sell that out, right? Who doesn't want to watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills with me on Halloween night, even if you can't watch it live, with me on Halloween night, eating Halloween candy. I'm going to be dressed up. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be awesome. And I'm hoping we can sell that. I mean, it feels like a no-brainer, but hey, you never know. Maybe people are like, oh, I don't want to watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Okay. But you know what? Sometimes it's nice to spread the love around. If you want to watch me watch Halloween 1, 2, and 4 in one sitting, I've got that show on my channel. It was the show I did this past Halloween, and Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb and Mr. Sandsman was my co-host watching the first 2 Halloween. It was a great show. It's on the channel. Make sure you check that out. But I wanted to spread the love around. Billy Bob sends in $4.99. Thank you, Billy Bob. And says, but Dave, what are your favorite hobbies aside from movies? Great question. I like to run. I'm a jogger. I've been running for 30 years. So I try to jog, 3 or 4 days a week. Sometimes it's 5 or 6K. Sometimes it's 9 or 10K. But I try to, remain in shape. I'm not as, when I was in high school and college, I was quite buff. I had, nice arms, 6-pack, nice chest. I'm 46. I've lost some muscle tone in terms of having the arms and things like that, and the 6-pack. But I'm still slim, so that's good, and that's because of the jogging, right? And so that's because of all the running I've been doing, and just trying to keep, I'm 46 years old, and I figure, I don't care about because back when you're a teenager and you're in college, you're at the gym and you're busting your ass, you're doing it for, the girls and to look good. And I'm 46 years old now. And, I'm just like, what? I just want to be healthy. I just want to look good, be healthy. You know what I mean? I don't need to look jacked, it's just, and to look like I did in college and high school, that's a full-time job in itself. You got to change the way you eat. You got to, go into the gym. I mean, it's a whole job. It's a whole thing, and I'm just like, I just want to look good, be healthy. You know what I mean? And I think I do. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, jogging, running, it's a hobby, I guess. I like going for hikes and long walks on the beach. And no, but I like I'm into architecture and skylines and things like that. And I like looking at architecture and reading about architecture and different skylines of the world and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of nerdy, but I do. Obviously I like hockey and sports and, things like that. So, there's other things in there. Microsoft, $5, says, the place where the dead speak. Yes, buddy. Yes. Was that something that was said to you IRL, or did you just write that for the movie? In real life, or did you just write that for the movie? That is something that I wrote. It is in the script. It is not said because I only say this because I could see how this could be perceived because we're all horror fans here. It is not said like, you're all doomed. It's not said like that. It's not that kind of character. It's one of the main characters that say it. And it's just said normally. You have to see it within its context, the way it's said, but it's not said theatrically. And I don't believe it was something that was actually said in real life, but it is very true to our experience and true to the story I've created that is inspired by that experience. And so, and then somebody said to me that would make a great tagline for your marketing material for the film. And I said, why, as a matter of fact, I agree with you. I didn't even think of that. You're absolutely right. And so now, so you will see it on promotional material for the film. In addition to also the other tagline, of course, which is another dimension of consciousness awaits. And so sometimes I will use both of them on marketing material if it fits. Sometimes I'll just use one or the other. You know what I mean? It depends on what the image is, and it depends on what what I want to convey in the image. Because obviously another dimension of consciousness awaits. Great tagline, but a little more cerebral, right? A little more, it's like the 3 posters, right? So this is the 3rd concept poster, but this is a stylized illustration of something a little more. So it's a stylized illustration. So hang on. The 3 posters, you've seen the other ones, of course. So the first concept poster, which you've seen, which is the profile of the woman, and I love that poster. I love it. It's like very cerebral, elevated, you know what I mean? But that I classify as the sort of the poster that illustrates sort of, grief and mystery of the past. You know what I mean? There's a mystery. There's a, who is this? There's a mystique and a mystery around that, right? And then there's the second concept poster, which is also on the campaign, which is just a stylized version of the house, the real house, from the real experience. And that poster is a little more in your face, but still has a mystique about it because of it's sort of a black and white charred sort of, again, stylized version of the house. And that I classify the terror of what lies within, the terror of what lies inside, right? That's that one, right? And then there's the third concept, which I call the special edition concept, which is this one here. And this one I classify as so it's a stylized illustration. So it's the three different layers of the house on Port Robinson Road, right? There's the grief and the mystery of the past. There's the terror of what lies inside. And there, of course, is the third one, which you see on your screen now, which is the metaphysical journey beyond what we understand. And so that's what that illustrates there, the metaphysical and philosophical journey beyond what we understand. And each poster illustrates a different layer for the house on Port Robinson Road. And so, and I love this poster. This is just, but still, each poster still maintains its cerebral, elevated vibe, right? It's cerebral, elevated presentation. And that's on purpose because this isn't a slasher movie. It's not a found footage movie. You know, it's not that there's anything wrong with those movies. I love those movies too. But this is more A24 than Blumhouse. You know what I mean? It's more of it's a psychological supernatural horror drama. You know what I mean? Inspired by true events, right? From my first year or from my second year of college. So anyways, yeah. But yes, the tagline there at the bottom. Now, this is a poster where you see both taglines, right? At the top, you see another dimension of consciousness awaits, which totally makes sense to the image that you're looking at. And then at the bottom, you see, they say it's the place where the dead speak. And that also makes sense for a illustration such as this. So, yeah. And if we hit 50%, sorry, I turned off my mic. I've done that a couple of times over the last few shows. Once we hit 50% on the campaign, that poster will become available on the campaign. So, yeah. And again, signed version, not signed version, you know, all that too. So, anyways, folks, listen, I think I've got all the super chats. I've got all the member chats. I really appreciate it. Folks, that's going to do it for me here on this episode of MCRAE Live. I want to thank, of course, my moderators. I want to thank the super chats, the member chats. Thank you for being a member here on the channel. If you want to be a member here on the channel, consider hitting that join button. My level number 2 members and I will be watching Friday the 13th part 2 on our next episode of Horror Movie Nights this Saturday. So if you want to get in on that, I'm just saying that's going to be a lot of fun. It's there as well. And thank you to each and every one of you so far who have donated to the Development Funds campaign for the house on Port Robinson Road. It means the world to me. It means a lot to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Every little bit goes a long way. And I want to be at 50% by this time next week. And if we do, that special edition third concept poster is going up on the campaign. Folks, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts on anything I had to say here today. But of course, also the main topic, my idea for a Halloween 4 Part 2. What did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Again, it's just a premise, right? It's a fleshed out basic premise. Obviously, you know, if this really took off, you would write a screenplay, you would go through drafts, you would get into the nitty gritty and the details and the weeds and flesh out all the, you know, the dialogue and all that kind of stuff. But this was I quickly wrote it over the weekend. So it was my basic, you know, my basic premise of how I would approach a Halloween 4 Part 2. And I think it's really cool because it brings the focus back to Rachel and Jamie and lets them, that relationship flourish and let that relationship have the arc that I believe they were supposed to have, that was set up in Halloween 4. And now they get it here in Halloween Season's End. That's just a working title, but hey, it's pretty good. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. All righty. Cheers.